Hey folks, welcome back to another session of me ranting about something that came to my mind one of these days, I guess, and has been stuck in my mind for the past few days. Honestly, I would like to sound cool, and I always think about being cool and talking about interesting subjects in a high, eloquent way, but in the end, I'm just a simpleton, to be honest. I've been thinking all morning about what to talk today, I guess. Haven't done anything with the last video. Probably won't do anything with this one. But feels in a way practical or lucrative to do something, I guess. And even though a few seconds ago I was completely confident in how I would be talking right now and how I would be expressing myself, trying to impress someone, trying to sound cool and smart. Right now, my heart's beating. I'm getting very nervous. And I'm starting to slightly overthink everything I say in order to sound better than I am. But truth is, I have serious deficiencies, very much like anyone else, but I am selfish, so I tend to believe that mine are more than others. And I'm not omniscient, so I cannot feel what anyone else feels. So I tend to focus simply on what I feel and what I know and what I do. And I tend to exaggerate. Exacerbate would be a better word. Anything I feel and make it 10 times stronger than it is. Putting myself down and feeling as if I am worth nothing. And I've spoken yesterday about issues. I kind of forgot now, but I think I mentioned a lot of problems with confidence or feeling sad and feeling guilty and always just completely inadequate compared to others and trying to kind of solve life's meaning for oneself. I don't know. Today I kind of thought about the idea of confidence. Are you confident? Do you believe you can do anything you put your mind to from the get go? Are you one of those people that simply does something without any issue? One of those people that just picks something up and has the guts to feel confident that he will do it well, believing that not being distracted by your lack of goal or your lack of purpose, thinking in the back of your mind if there is any goal or purpose to anything you do. I was watching a video this morning. I didn't finish it, but it was a TED Talk from 7 years ago. A guy was talking about depression, and I didn't finish it, of course, but aside from that video, I watched another one where three psychologists were talking about depression and debunking myths. Well, all that is irrelevant. One thing that stuck to me or with me from that video, something that identified because I feel that way, is overthinking. Apparently, anxiety and depression comes afterwards, might be. But anxiety is fueled by overthinking. If you think about something on and on and on without ever stopping, and it reaches a point where it's becoming an obsession just to overthink, or because you say it's preparing you mentally, or you're trying to get ready for something because you're afraid of the outcome of what's gonna be, and it stresses you out and you keep on repeating it inside your head over and over, in order to, you say, calm yourself down because you're getting ready for something. Apparently that's not healthy. Apparently, so basically, action is key. Instead of thinking about it, just do it. Shia LaBeouf knew from the get-go. Just fucking do it. Apparently that's the key to anything. Mental health. When you sit idle and do nothing, your mind has nothing to do. It's not being preoccupied with anything. So I believe there's this primordial gut feeling, or like, I guess, recording in our brain that knows there's no purpose. And it's a lot stronger in others, not others than in other people, I guess, than, I don't know, the major population. It doesn't affect everyone the same way. It's not as loud, I want to say, in others than it might be in myself or you if you're listening to this. And it's unfortunate because I believe this kind of taps into the depression department. This voice keeps on repeating, "You suck. There's no reason to do this. What's the purpose? There's nothing out there besides just transient pleasure and hedonistic desire. There's nothing else." And it makes you feel like, okay, I'm tiny, I'm small, I'm irrelevant. There's no reason to try anymore. Why? For what? To please others? To feel like I'm trying to distract myself from that primordial truth? Well, to be honest, yes. The reason we do things is to distract ourselves. Anything we do is to distract ourselves. It's so easy to get sad. It's so easy to get depressed. Well, depression is a result. I don't think it's easy. It's easy to get sad and like be down. It's very difficult to not be happy, but to just be content and not care. That's why recently I've embraced the idea of ignorance far more than I did before, even though it's still not working the way I want it to. I believe it has a different value. They say don't be ignorant is bliss. I always come up with this, and ignorance is kind of frowned upon. If you're ignorant, you're considered dumb or stupid, or you're like set on a path that doesn't have any branches. You can only see that path. Well, what if you choose to just see one path and choose to divert your attention from the bad path? That's making ignorance functional in a way. Distracting yourself, being ignorant from what causes you harm, and focusing on the good. But even then, it's not always functional. There are so many aspects that can force their effect, I guess, or effect. Not effect. Effect. Yeah, well, A and E. Effect on you from your environment to make you recall that primordial feeling of there's no reason to continue. And especially if you're prone to something like this, I don't know if there are people who are, everyone's different. It's a subjective existence out there. Everyone's just living their own lives. And now, far more than before, everyone's lives is affected by everyone else's, if that makes sense. Your life is affected by anything you see online, from people having money or showing they have money, looking good, flexing, as they say, that their lives is better than probably yours, or just they're also trying to kind of live their own lives and make it better for themselves. But in the end, it's in a passive way, they're causing harm to others. So in the end, it's up to you, the individual who watches, to not care, to just it's also a case of mentality and mindset. What you see, you either must not let it affect you, or if it affects you, make sure it's affecting you in a positive way. Those are the good people out there. Those are the healthy people. Those are the capable people. I, on the other hand, I always bring everything towards myself. Learn this. I am very selfish and very considerably introspective. And I will always talk about myself because I know myself best. And I always complain. And I always complain about myself because I am very bad at living my life and I'm very incapable of dealing with my life in a functional way. I have no path in life, unfortunately, and I'm trying to create one, but it's not really working. And I have to live up to the standards of so many other people because their lives are so much better and they want better for me too. And then I feel forced and pressured to pursue something that I don't feel comfortable doing. But in the end, I know they're right, but I am part of that pack of people that is easily put down, easily depressed. I have no issues just wallowing in my own sadness. Because, you see, for some reason, because it's so, I want to say pungent, but I'm going to say so predominant in my personality, I feel like it's a part of me that I should not discard. I should accept and reuse it. But sometimes it seeps out and people around me cannot stand me when I am putting myself down or just being down about life in general. People don't like that. It's not something that a lot of people can sustain, I guess. So I've learned to kind of reforge it. So I write a lot sometimes. Depends. Poetry, prose, it doesn't really matter. I put my sadness and everything that I feel in. I feel like I'm making something that's dark and horrible and reforging it into something that's beautiful and maybe pleasant, at least for me. Again, I'm selfish. Everything I do is for me. Rarely do I think of others because I was raised that way. I was a single child. And I've learned from a young age having people around me was not the best thing ever. It didn't suit me well. I always enjoyed being alone, away from others. I always say that I hate people. I'm the type of person who can seriously say he hates someone that he doesn't even know. He just sees them, spends some time around them for a few hours a day, and he can definitely say he hates them to a certain degree. He hates something they do. I hate something the way they behave. And they might be the most perfect person in the world, but I will not give a shit because in the end, you're doing something that pisses me off. And I am sorry for this. But at the same time, I'm not. Because that's how I feel. Because in the end, having people around me just feels uncomfortable. And this is one of the reasons why I have so many issues dealing with life in general. Finding a path in life, striving for something. Because I suddenly have to deal with so many people. I suddenly have to, especially strangers. I'm okay with this a very tight group of people, but I'm not I'm not open. I'm not one of those people that can hold a conversation out of nowhere. Small talk is useless, irrelevant, but it's at the same time that's how I feel. You to me are a bother. If I'm busy with something, I don't have time to waste talking to someone. I need a specific time to talk to someone. I always choose being alone, with the exception of a few people in my life. You really have to be special for me to choose to spend time with you instead of just wanting to be alone and not focus on pleasing someone, serving someone, talking to someone just because. Especially this applies mostly in a professional way, in an organizational, basically a job. In real life, when I'm not obligated to like pick up a role that's lower than you, or feel myself as I'm inferior to you, then we're good. But that's why having a job affects me so much, or working with people affects me so much, because you'll always be seen in a way like either inferior or different. Like you, the obligation, and it's kind of fucked up though, because not being able to differentiate between these two roles is a problem. I've done it multiple times, but every time I restart doing it, I start doing it again, I have to re-enter that role, and every day is different. This is not Groundhog Day. Having to deal with different people every day, having to take shit from randoms that just feel like they are entitled to behave in a certain way, just makes you not want to deal with people ever again. And it's not even me who has gone through shit. I've seen other people going through shit, and that makes me not want to deal with other people, because I know that I will not be able to withstand that kind of shit, or I would not be polite or comply with how they behave. Can't say I've been in very bad situations before, but that's just how I feel. And again, this is very rude and impolite to say, especially since I'm probably gonna offend a lot of people, because this is not useful to anyone. But if you feel this way, it's not technically wrong. Honestly, what would be wrong is to act on it, which sometimes is seriously difficult to not do. Keeping it in and not, because you know there would be consequences, is the difficult thing to do, and it weighs you down. That's why learning ignorance is a good thing. Forgetting about it, not really paying attention, which is, maybe I'm okay with doing it. Maybe I'm at a low level of mastering this skill, quotations implied, but it's still not something that comes easily to me. I have this tendency to care, especially what other people believe about me or say about me. I don't know why it is like this. I don't know why I've always been like this, but I know that I've read a manga recently called Fire Punch, and there was an interesting conversation in that manga. I've mostly forgotten the whole context, but basically someone in that manga said that you are what other people perceive you are. It's not your complete duty for yourself to define yourself, because in life, in the end, no matter how wrong it may be, you also are whatever people perceive you as. You may see yourself as edgy, cool, badass, or a complete idiot, but other people perceive you differently. So it's very difficult to choose. It's very difficult not to care, because you know they might be right in a way. You might not see yourself as they do. They also are subjective as well, and according to their values, their perspective is changed and modified. But it's still a perspective, and it's up to you if you want to pay attention to it or not. If it's malicious, sometimes it's just better to not do it. But sometimes, even though you have to really pay attention from whom it comes, or yeah, the source. Because if it's someone that knows you really well and they say something slightly malicious, it might hurt you more, but it might as well be closer to the truth. Hence, you need to produce some change within yourself. But it's way harder to accept because your expectation from someone that's close to you will always be for them to accept you as you are. When that person no longer accepts you as you are, that's really heartbreaking and hard to accept. When it comes from a stranger, they say strangers never lie, but also strangers have no obligation to I guess to tell you the truth, to not be polite with you. They can be completely honest, but again, their perspective might be malicious because they just have no filter, and it depends on the person. But when it comes to maliciousness, the source matters. And if it comes from a stranger, it's better than sometimes, honestly, 90% of the time to not pay attention to it, especially if it's straight up evil. And if it's still malicious, but it's from someone you know, then you might care more, but it might not be as malicious. It's just, if they're saying it to you, it's probably not easy for them either. Or you've done something really bad, or maybe they're starting to not care anymore. I don't know what I'm going on such weird tangents that I have no idea where the hell I'm going anymore. What I wanted to talk about today was confidence. But I'm talking about, well, these are things that affect confidence in the end. All these small factors, people talking to you, dealing with people, being part of society, and just trying to build yourself and build your image and crystallize a certain portrait of yourself is so tied to confidence. Because in the end, what you want is living your life under the umbrella of other people's malicious intent, or just being brought down and caring all the time about the wrong things will never build your confidence. It will either create an individual that's the same as the feedback he's getting, which is malicious, which in the end is gonna amount to a person that's not something you want to be around. I guess you would become the person that you loathe, I guess. So ignorance, trying to collect my thoughts here, and it's not really that easy. Practicing ignorance, but functional ignorance, ignoring their bad stuff, focusing on the good things. Filtering the type of feedback you get and how much you care and about what feedback and from whom, focusing on the source of the feedback. And then also being careful on what you say to yourself. Because in the end, you get home every day and that person that was a dick to you will no longer be there. They'll be on their merry way going somewhere else. You'll be alone. If you still remember and if you still think about what that person said, it means probably shouldn't. Think about it, I guess. If it's something that it's really a problem with you, then do something about it. If not, then just ignore it. Don't pay attention. It's kind of dumb because like you're forcing yourself to forget things, and then you're like developing some sort of amnesia. But filtering information this way, I guess, kind of the end creates a path for you to be happy or content and not really care. Because even though we are social humans, humans don't really stand each other well. Like everyone, they don't like you. Like a key solution, a key aspect of life nowadays, with everyone just being in everyone else's face so much, it's toleration. Is that a proper word? I think so. And not everyone's evil. I'm more or less a bit of a nihilist, I guess. Or nihilist? I think nihilist, that's the proper word, yeah. And I do, because I'm so afraid of people, I'm so anxious, and I really don't like dealing with strangers, and I always like to be in my safe space because of anxiety and overthinking. I always think of people as just a bother, maybe, or just. But this is me just now. Maybe if I go outside, I'll be okay. Context also matters, but if I'm to think about it, yeah, I don't really like being around a lot of people. I like to do my own business, not really pay attention to anything else, not get myself involved with a lot of people, because that never went well for me. I've always been on the sidelines. I'm just that type of person, like boring, easily discarded, never really attractive in any way, honestly. So going back to confidence, what are you confident about? What's something that you believe that fuels your confidence? And how do you even think of yourself when you're confident? These are things that are completely strange to me. And because you need confidence, honestly speaking, to counteract depression and to counteract every other downing aspect of life that brings you down and just completely makes you not want to believe in anyone and anything else anymore, and just you want to complete give up on anything, is confidence, I believe. There are others, of course, but when it comes to yourself, believing yourself, confidence is what fuels your actions. Actions distract yourself from that primordial thought. Actions are what build your life and build you. So I have no confidence. There's really, to have confidence, you need to be capable of a certain skill, have a certain belief maybe, or just, I really don't know. I really don't know. Or just optimism is just blind belief, I believe. Like, to be optimistic is a good trait, definitely, but I find it stupid in the end, because I always think of myself, why, what? It's just weird to be blindly happy for what? You need reason. So I've always been jealous, envious of people who are just blindly happy or content. I don't know. I am probably content, but I've always been reminded whenever I'm content that I shouldn't be. Never be content. Always strive for improvement, to grow. What if you're not that type of person? What if you're just the type of person who wants a chill life, relaxing, not focusing too much, because you know that you're not made for that stuff. It doesn't feel comfortable to you. And pushing yourself into doing something that you're not comfortable is the path to change and growth and evolution and improvement. But it also puts pressure. To all this pressure is sometimes just unbearable, just too much. Because it piles from when someone says it, your mind already goes to other people. You start comparing yourself. You're no longer, because you know you're inadequate, and you're looking at others who've been successful, and they're younger, they're stronger, they're better than you. They've started earlier, and in the end, you just end up being dissatisfied with yourself, and you fall in that pit. So contentment is that baseline that just helps you, but it's considered to be unhealthy, since now everyone just needs to grow and never stop, and because otherwise you're wasting your life, which is seriously sad. Because I don't know, I'm lazy. I am one of those people that never felt that urge to go do something like amazing, or now I want to travel more. I've just because I've seen on the internet. Now it's been etched on my mind that you should do something with your life. Make it into something amazing. Leave a mark on the world. And I even though I want these things, I really do believe that they don't suit me. They just don't fall in the same pattern with my personality and how I am. I would do it, but I don't have the confidence of starting it on my own, because it always has been a problem with starting, revving myself up to do it. Just needs so much effort and so much. And I'm gonna go back to the aspect of caring. I've always cared about others, even though I say I'm selfish. And it's a weird way of caring, because I never do things because I feel like I'm gonna bother someone else. I never start cooking something, or everything that I do that I'm motivated for doing only affects myself. I have to think about this every time I want to do something, because sometimes just when you do something and you're doing it with the good intentions, it's not always received that way. So every time you do something with a good intention and it doesn't turn out perfect, there are some people in your life that will just complain regardless. And that really demotivates you from doing anything, because every time you will want to do something, you'll think of that time when that person said, "Why did you do this? It wasn't necessary." And your heartfelt efforts will dwindle, and that motivation to start doing it will cease to exist, because you'll have no confidence that you can do anything. And that's a very vicious cycle that I'm personally stuck into. So yeah, confidence is a very fickle kind of concept that I still haven't mastered well. And the only aspect that I've mastered, and even there, they feel, because confidence is very tied to feedback. Like, you build confidence from something that you do, and if the feedback is positive, you become more confident. You can do something and be content with it, but if in the end it's a piece of shit and people complain, in the end it won't boost your confidence even in the slightest, because it didn't produce anything beneficial. Nothing lucrative was obtained from your efforts. So you can either learn from it, not take it as a completely cataclysmic event in your life and start again, or you can completely give up everything and just not want to do anything else ever again, like me. Doing the first thing, Honestly, if you're capable of that, my applause to you. You are amazing. But I find it hard to believe that if something like that happened, you wouldn't be affected at least a little bit. And your confidence would be completely intact, honestly. I don't know. Just feels, and blind confidence is just, then you're just becoming egotistic and selfish, which I am, but my selfishness is in a different way. My intentions are not to bother anyone and not to piss anyone off. So I stay away from doing certain things, and I only think of myself. And or sometimes I just overthink things and I take decisions on my own. That's not like malicious selfishness, but it's still selfishness to a degree that I can work on, of course. I am the type of person who becomes downed when someone complains or tries to do something and that just doesn't turn out to be accepted in any way, like positive. Almost 40 minutes again. Yeah, I think I'll stop in like 4 minutes. Um, so this has been my rant for today. I recommend Fire Punch. It's a finished manga recommended by one of my friends. I read it in a day almost. Well, I finished it in a day, like at least 40 chapters. It's not long. It's weird. The end will leave you a little bit baffled. At least the whole manga, the whole concept of it was relatively not safe for children, depending on your tastes. But it was still entertaining and it had some interesting lessons, especially the one with people perceiving you and that still being a way that you should also take into consideration when you're trying to form yourself as a person. That also matters. Identity, ignorance, confidence, depression, all these aspects of the human mind or human in general that I struggle with and are a downer, and I apologize. That I like to rant about. And I usually do this on my streams, but sometimes I just play video games and not really focus on this, especially since people don't really want to hear about this. If you want to talk to someone about this stuff, you usually have to hire a therapist. Honestly, hearing that depression is affected so much by overthinking was eye-opening because I've always quotations self-diagnosed myself as being slightly depressed, but I never received a proper diagnosis. And I'm not planning to. A trip to this therapist is not something in my near future. I think I can function properly in human life and like real life without many issues. Everything that I have or that's contained within myself has been reduced to a level that can be bared, I guess. I can bear the weight. It's just annoying at this point to deal with people, having them around. I'm just not the type of person. And when it comes to looking for jobs and trying to contact and involve yourself, that's why this whole society of social media, networking, conversations, shoving yourself someone's throat to gather attention in order to maybe become famous and not have to work a proper job ever again is so difficult because I'm trying to do all those things aside from the fact of human connection. I do not seek. I want attention, but I do nothing for it. And I do not want to work, but I don't really have a perspective of like what else I could do. So I really have no confidence in anything that I do aside from my writing maybe, but that's just me, myself, and I believing it's good. But in the end, there's no real life approval. And as you can see, when you're trying to function in life, you need a exterior approval. It's not just you saying yes, this is fine. And being forced to, if you want to function, before everyone just made stuff because they wanted videos, pictures, whatever. They liked it because there wasn't any financial gain from it. But now everyone's motivated for financial gain, and everyone has developed themselves into self-made actors, voice actors, videographers, so on. This multimedia society just isn't for everyone, and when you're trying to make it into it without owning skills or being compatible with skills that are beneficial towards it, like being able to talk properly or knowing a certain language or being versed in a certain skill or being charismatic just or being good at video, so many things that I never thought possible ever to end up being monetized. It's amazing. At the same time frustrating, because when everyone can do something, it kind of no longer has any value, and those who did it first will be the only ones who will still reign over the others, because they were the beginning of it. Everyone knows them. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about right now. But yeah, if you know the secret to confidence, and even if you do, telling me won't help me, but I hope you do for yourself. Practice ignorance, functional one. Don't give a shit too much about the bad stuff. Try to filter it well. I will try to handle my own life, I guess. If I offended you, well, that's too bad. I apologize, but at the same time, I don't. I'm talking as if this is going to be heard by someone, but honestly, I doubt it's going to be ever heard by someone. Second recording, 40 minutes. We'll see. Maybe I'll post it. Maybe I won't. We'll see. Huh, I have no idea. I wonder if this needs editing. We'll see. I don't know. Too many C's, no do's. I gotta do something. We'll see. Till next time. You know what? Find me next time. And until then, stay safe, stay alive, and I'm out. Bye.